Cool stuff coming up at the beginning of March is we've got NitroCross in town, and I don't even know how to describe Travis Pastrana because he does so many different things. X Games legend. You travel the world. I was telling you, I was looking at your IG page, and you guys do a great job updating the social media, and it seems like you're somewhere every 3 days, and you were just in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, Saudi. So actually, Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR driver, gave me a shout about 2 weeks ago. And he said, hey, I have a team that races something called Extreme E, but I'm racing the Daytona 500. Can you race for me? I was like, I had 1 weekend off, but sure, well, let's go to Saudi. Why not? It was actually pretty fun.
Wait a second. When I saw the IG post and you guys put together a nice piece with the phone call, I'm like, clearly that was organized months out. That's not real that he called you on no notice and he's like, all right, let's go. I need you to race.
Yeah, I'm sure whoever he had going fell through. So, I'll take what I can get.
So what were you racing there, and what are you racing here in Vegas?
So over in Saudi, we're racing basically off-road desert trucks. They were, electric. I think they're going hydrogen next year. So it's interesting. But here, basically, we're doing NitroCross, which is under kind of Dana White, and it's not about anything except for how can we get the most horsepower, the biggest jumps, the most sideways vehicles. So while the series over in Europe was more about being green, our series, although we are electric and kind of all the manufacturers, everything's going that way. We have 1,000 horsepower vehicles, 0 to 60 in 1.4 seconds. We have a jump where other cars will be going under and over at the same time, and these vehicles are made intentionally so they basically don't grip the ground. So you'll be backing it in sideways, bouncing off each other. Everything from Can-Ams all the way up to the next cars to the Group E, which is our top class, plus freestyle motocross, which basically Nitro Circus, we have bands. It's going to be a hell of a show.
So NitroCrossRacing.com is where you go. It's an event here in Vegas. I want to talk about the track in a couple of minutes because it's behind Planet Hollywood, but you piqued my interest there because we're big on the UFC, and we've been working around. We've been here in Vegas for a long time doing the radio show, but how well do you know Dana White? What's your connection with him going back?
Dana, so when they kind of right about the time they were still in UFC, they were kind of looking for other things. And Dana had seen Nitro. He's seen Nitro Circus, NitroCross, all the kind of just pushing the limits there. And they were kind of looking for something that could just be fun and big that they could take over and start. And I thought I was going to go in and pitch Dana. So I haven't known him for more about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I came in and he pitched me. The man is a salesman like you would never believe, but he's like, I want bigger jump. So the whole world, they're like, the jumps are too big. The cars are too fast. It's not safe enough. It's safe-ish, kind of safety third, but it's exciting. It's entertainment. I'm racing. It's, it's not like I'm throwing other people out there to do something that I'm not willing to do, but Dana was on board. He's like, let's make it crazier. So he went to an event and he goes, dude, there's no music in between. He goes, I sat there for 5 hours. I had 3 hours of racing. He's like, you need bands. You need freestyle motocross. I'm like, yes, we don't have the budget to do it. He said, done. I'm like, my man, this is what I'm talking about. Dana knows entertainment. So it's going to be a good show.
So what kind of entertainment goes on?
So, well, this is the first one we've done in Vegas, but I'm really excited. I mean, besides the racing, you got the best drivers all across the board. Hell, we had Kyle Busch jumped in for a couple rounds. We had F1 world champion jumped in, IndyCar drivers. Chase Elliott jumped in. It's been really, really cool for me and the racing and the tracks and that kind of stuff. But Dana has taken our kind of everything else and just elevated it, where now we've got bands, but not just kind of local bands. It's, he's always working on, to be fair, I don't even know who's playing this one. I build the track and make sure that the racing's exciting, and then the entertainment comes in. But it's cool because we got Nitro Circus. So Nitro Circus is the best athletes in the world. Freestyle motocross, the party in the pits, just the beer tents, that kind of stuff that I never was really thinking about because I was always, having to be sober and driving. But it makes a huge difference just to have, family environment, but also where everyone can just come. And the second they get there, there's stuff to do 24/7.
It's the voice of the legendary Travis Pastrana, NitroCrossRacing.com here in Vegas. It's Friday, March 1st into Saturday, March 2nd. It's at Planet Hollywood. I want to talk about the track in a second, but again, you piqued my interest with, and I've seen this before, you can just transition from style to style, car to car, and not only you do it, you just mentioned all the NASCAR guys. it's that easy, or like as you're transitioning, you're like, oh, I forgot how hard this was. Are there certain venues and cars that you're like, crap, I'm not great at this. This is a good hard transition.
So different personalities do better with different things. I come from motocross. Motocrossers, off-road, if you look at any of your mid 400, you guys got a lot of cool stuff out there. They're not the precision drivers. F1, just how they carry themselves, they're very OCD. They're very precise. And then off-road's the opposite. And there's everything else kind of comes in the middle. So NASCAR is kind of a little bit of a mix, but I do best at sports that you can take a risk to make a gain. If I'm doing stuff with pavement, the more risk you take, the more it's like Cold Trickle and Days of Thunder. You burn off your tires. The car stops working halfway through the run. You start getting loose as fast on the edge out of control, according to Harry Hogg. And that I like being loose from step one. I like vehicles that have a chance of rolling over. Like I went and did that thing in Saudi. It was the only time that I could go against the best drivers in the world, not just literally the best 8-time world champion. I'm setting fast times because these vehicles were so crappy. And I mean that with all due respect, that every time they hit a bump, you're up on 2 wheels and the power steering didn't quite hold it. So you're like just gripping and ripping and do it. 4 of the 8 teams flipped. That's how bad it was. I am known for flipping. We didn't flip. I was very proud of. I'm patting myself on the back for that one.
Right,
but I do stuff. If I can make a speed increase by taking more risk than anyone else is willing to take, that's my wheelhouse. So NitroCross, there's a lot of pavement on this one, but it goes from snow. The last round was snow. We'll have all pavement on some. We'll have all dirt on some. This is the one series where the drivers don't show up and kind of just, okay, let's try to win. The drivers show up and go, okay, how am I going to get around this track? How am I not going to kill myself?
Right.
Let's have some fun. How am I going to drift the biggest? How am I going to put on the biggest show? And how am I going to kick all the other drivers' butts?
Yeah, I wonder when I was reading about your NASCAR background if you had fun doing that, because you mentioned precision and like F1's another level. But anytime I watch NASCAR and especially documentaries on it, I'm like, this is so tech, so science. It seems like very buttoned up, a lot of sponsor stuff. Did you not like it? Or, clearly it's different, but did you enjoy doing it?
Dude, I had more fun. Honestly, the drivers, they welcomed me with open arms. They all were. They're not on the track, but they're trying to help out. Like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is where the testing you need to get and the everything. Everybody was great. Rear wheel drive vehicles, when in doubt, throttle out, which I learned from dirt bikes, and rally, which is all wheel drive, doesn't work. So when that back end starts coming around the front, you got to get off the gas. And my whole life, when it hits the fan, I'm throttle out. And so pavement and rear wheel drive, not really my specialty. I'm okay, but NASCAR was not quite there.
NitroCross is in town. You can get your tickets at nitrocrossracing.com/Las Vegas, March 1st and 2nd, Friday, Saturday at Planet Hollywood. You mentioned a couple minutes ago about building the track, designing things. Like, how involved are you in that? And what are we looking at? I love Vegas now because any piece of property that we can develop into something else. I mean, I think the piece of property you're on was just thousands of stands like 2 months ago for F1. And now it's like, let's just put up a track.
Interestingly enough, we did the Evil Knievel, like Evil Live, they called it, where just recreated some of Evil's best or craziest moments for the History Channel. And when we were out there in this parking lot at Planet Hollywood, I'm like, this parking lot has 2 levels. So we could jump up, we can jump down, we can have berms, and we can set up a lot of stuff that it's good. The more dynamic we can make the track, so it's not just a parking lot, the more fun for the drivers, the more challenging for the vehicles and the teams, and the more exciting for the fans.
Yeah, what does evil mean to you? Because obviously he's very synonymous with Vegas. You did the Caesars fountains. What does he mean to you? And I don't even know if he means anything to people younger than you. I find now, because I'm in my 50s, I mentioned stuff from the 80s, legendary sports figures from the 70s, and then people are like, who? What? Like, and I don't want to be here like kids these days. But what does evil mean to you in the community?
Well, Evil proved that you could fly a dirt bike. He was the start of action sports. He was the showman. He wasn't the greatest rider, but what I liked him, the thing my dad always said, if you say something, you're going to back it up. If you say you're going to do it, you do it. He goes, Evil Knievel went over to Wembley Stadium. He told the crowd, my bike's not fast enough, but I said I was going to do it. And he launched it. I'm like, how'd that work out for Evil? He's like, oh, he broke everything.
Not good.
But he's a man of his word. So that was kind of, my whole life was built around Evil's philosophies. He said, you're not a failure till you fail to get back up. So for me to meet his whole family, to have all the Knievils out there, to be able to show my dad's generation what we did with our generation in action sports and how Evil started. And then my kids, I was like, oh, I'm going to do Evil Knievel's jumps. And at the time they were probably 5 and 6 years old. And they were like, who's Evil Knievel? And I thought I failed as a parent. And so yeah, it happens. But it was a cool opportunity to just show my dad's generation and my kids' generation. Everyone came around the TV, and it was actually the highest watched cable show of the entire year, which was really cool for me to be able to be a part of that.
You have a really cool project that you launched, I think, like 6 months ago, YouTube 199. I mean, it is chock full of wherever you are, and then lots of different videos and just exports in general. Tell people about the channel.
No, I appreciate it. Channel 199. Basically, I started working with, my dad was a Marine. My wife's dad was a Marine. We live in Maryland, so in Annapolis. So there's a lot of military. My best friend became a SEAL. Luckily, I got to live the American dream and got to chase my exploits, if you will, on 2 and 4 wheels and motorized stuff. But my goal is to be able to open, and we got Walter Reed right down the road, which is military hospital where a lot of the veterans come. And once a year we always did something with my dad where we brought all the veterans and wounded warriors out to the house, and we did just showed them a good time. And the amputees, got them on 4-wheelers or put on a freestyle demo. Black Rifle saw this and was like, dude, let's do more. So Tim Montana came out. We got bands now. They're like, my goal is to travel less, be in Saudi Arabia less, be home more. And we started Channel 199 to be able to build all this cool stuff and bring fans, bring people. If you want to learn a backflip, come on out to the house and just have a reason to be home with our friends and to bring as many people, especially military community, in to have a good time.
Yeah, your IG page is a little bit different than mine. I travel for radio, and like yesterday or 2 days ago, I was very fired up that I could put up a picture of a waffle.
Yes.
Yeah. So
hey, Waffle House. That's the place.
That's what it was too. I'm like, we don't have them here in Vegas. I got a waffle, some hash browns. So one other thing we got to mention, because I think it's important, is you drive Subaru, right?
Yes, sir.
So I actually just got a Subaru. We're a Subaru family. I got it here. I got it locally I drive a little different one than you do. Doesn't have 1,000 horsepower. Fine car though, but I got it from Findlay Subaru, and I didn't know about their the program Share the Love, so I donated to Hearts Alive, which is for cats locally. I thought that was really cool that you shouted them out. I appreciate you doing it. That you shouted out Share the Love.
Yeah, no, we've done a lot of stuff. I've been very fortunate to be with some great companies that do a lot of good stuff and give back. And for me, Make-A-Wish has always been a big thing because there's a lot of kids that were really into or are really into action sports, and they always wanted to jump a motorcycle in the foam pit or do something like that. So Subaru, even though it's not Subaru related, really, they try to bring some Make-A-Wish kids out to, we call it Pastrana Land, which is the house, and either put them in a vehicle and do some donuts like in a Subaru, or put them in a Can-Am, and depending on what their level is, and go over some jumps, or put them on a dirt bike, and depending on what level they are and that stuff. But it's been really cool. So thank you for supporting Subaru and Share the Love.